How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Grind Episode 1. This is JCanell, and I'm on right there, over there. I always do that wrong. 365Trucking's YouTube channel. All right? So, we're going to talk about a few things, and we're going to get it going. In the news, as if you were on my particular YouTube channel, you would have seen that I posted up a video about Nurse Wobble over there in Utah, who ran into quite an issue with the detectives of the Salt Lake City Police Department. We have our rights. Now, the gentleman was an Idaho police reservist. I actually didn't want to get that wrong. So he's an Idaho police reservist. He was in his truck. The perpetrator, who was being chased on the highway, of course, was being chased by the Utah Police Department. If you saw any of the videos, it was a situation where that person who was being chased by the cops went out of his lane and did a direct hit upon, the truck driver. So it was by no means, the truck driver's fault, right? And there was a big squabble on the internet about people who discovered the FMCSA book, went looking around and saw some particular lines inside the book that says, we, by being a CDL holder, we have implied consent. It's just not, it's not true. Our rights do not diminish just because we hold a CDL. Okay. Now, he was taken to the Utah hospital. He was burned badly and unconscious. Now, the nurse, of course, under the HIPAA Act, or HIPAA laws that are in place, are as well as the situation that was set up with the police department there in Utah, as well as the state itself, implied consent was no longer valid since 2007, right? So you just can't go in there and just take what you want from somebody unless they are under arrest, or they have complied, or they are have signed waivers, or or there's a warrant. So, the truck driver was at no time at fault in this situation. So, of course, the nurse was arrested for obstruction of justice because she was doing her job, right? It didn't befuddle me. It actually surprised me that Detective Payne would take it to such an extent because he didn't like being told no, that he would immediately take her into custody. How's it going, everybody? And she was under arrest. Well, she was in custody for like 20 minutes. And if you look on my video, and a lot of people's videos, the body mic stuff came out, and they didn't even believe they were going to be able to, enforce this arrest or it would hold or stick or anything like that. They just escalated it. They wanted to push, right? They wanted to push the situation to force her to comply with what they wanted. Now, if you had not watched the complete video, either on Facebook or Fox News, CNN, whatever it was, all she was doing was relaying the information that the hospital and the police department had agreed to, as well as enforcing and protecting the patient's rights. He was not a suspect. He was not the cause of the accident or anything of this nature. So, while it's just when somebody's taken into the hospital, they immediately take blood anyway. Of course, the police officers didn't know that. They didn't have to go through to this extreme to obtain blood, but they just wanted to take it. And Officer Payne has not been fired. He's he's been taken away from the blood work department of the police department, and he's just being investigated. Now, I mean, everyone came out against this because they all saw it. It was all released. Everyone saw this happen via the footage. And, of course, the body mics were released as well. And I don't think he has a leg to stand on if Nurse Wobble decides to sue him. And I also feel, now the victim, of course, the truck driver, the reserve police officer, not really involved. He was unconscious and in a room. not really being handled or mistreated or anything of that nature. Of course, his rights were trying to be stepped on, but it was more Nurse Wubble who was the particular person involved in this. I don't think, I honestly don't think the news media concentrated enough on the person who was injured. They were really just going hard for Nurse Wubble and that situation because it was sensational. It was if it bleeds, it leads. That type of thing, and that's what the news media and the sources of media do. They really weren't talking about the gentleman who, by no fault of his own, was basically in an unconscious coma in the hospital and burned. Of course, they find out later that he was also a reserve police officer. He's just out there doing his job. Now, the state of Utah is backing Nurse Wubble. The state of Idaho is backing Nurse Wubble. Social media is backing Nurse Wubble. So, it'll be interesting to see what will happen to Detective Payne and Lieutenant James there, just by what the body mics picked up. Mr. Shane right here is saying they are bullies. That was definitely a bully act that was happening, and no doubt about it. Didn't like to be told no. I hope that the trucker is okay and can get back to work. I'm excitable. I am sure it'll be, depending on his injuries, I'm sure it'll be quite a while, honestly. So I'm sure the state of Idaho and Utah will probably take care of some compensation. They should. Not that I don't know the particular perpetrator's situation. It was definitely suicide by truck, which is more common than people know. I mean, if you go back to, say, Run Hard Get Paid's channel a couple years ago, a lady tried to kill herself on his truck. It happens quite often. It's a situation where they can't do it themselves. They'll involve somebody else. They'll step out onto a major highway. They'll step out onto a road. They'll fall from a bridge, and that will happen. I mean, it's instant death at 65, 70 miles an hour when something that heavy is coming through. And it's something, it's a way out for people who can't think of another way out or can't get the help that they need. Yukon says the detective is finished. I would hope so. I would actually hope so. That's not somebody you need representing you. His actions and his words tell me that I'm not going to call him a dirty cop. I'm not even going to allege it. It's just the words and his actions speak to who he is as a person, in my opinion. Honestly. So, I'm not going to make any accusations of his past history. I'm sure he's probably served the state of Utah quite well over the years. In just this particular case, it was not served well. We have rights, and there are multi-layers of rights. We do not have to give up anything. Just because a green book says you have to. His situation was he's unconscious. He cannot comply. He cannot release part of his body to you, to the police department. Now, the hospital, of course, can take it because they need it for medical reasons. But an outside source who's not there issuing a warrant, not placing that person under arrest, and it has no actual reason to just take blood from him, you just can't do that. And plus, there were statutes in the state and also HIPAA that protected that act. If you don't follow these rules, which everyone likes everybody to follow these rules, you just don't get to take things. And that's what he did. And it'll be interesting to see what happens to him. And if nothing happens to him, I'll find that very interesting as well. The lieutenant in the mic in the body cam mic, his statements were interesting as well, stating that if we've done something wrong, it'll all just be washed out. At the end, just let it happen, and at the end of this, particular, I'm not quoting here, at the end of this investigation or whatever, if we did anything wrong, it just goes away. So just let us do it. My God. No, how about we don't just let you do it? Exactly. Spirit just says he just didn't like being told no, and that really is the whole core of that situation. He didn't like to be told no. He wasn't going to be told no. So he escalated, and it was already predetermined before they went in there that if we need to escalate this, let's do it. But if they had realized that the hospital already takes the blood, they can go get the warrant. It's already there. It's in house. They can get the warrant, come back, get the blood sample, and all this blah blah blah. But they didn't realize that. So prior to going in, allegedly, they discussed escalating it to get it because they weren't getting their way. John Shepard says we need to make sure it doesn't get buried. I don't think this particular situation will get buried. It has gotten the eyes of the country, and that's basically thanks to Facebook. I saw it on Facebook first, and then all the news media outlets started to really pick it up. So one picked it up, shared it out to all their their subsidiaries, and then all the other news sources started to pick it up as well. And when your state and your governor and your state comes out against you, I think you're in pretty much a bad situation. And now you have the state of Idaho saying thank you to Nurse Webbles for protecting the rights of our guy. Thanks for saving our guy. And her statement, why is he so angry? Which that echoes in my head all the time. Why is he so angry? Because you told him no. That's that power hungry situation that strikes me as you've been in the game too long. You think way too much of yourself, and you might want to reevaluate what you're doing in this occupation. Froderick says they should make an example of the offending officer, not make excuses for him. He's on paid leave. Yeah, I mean, he's not losing anything. And that's what happens a lot of the times when somebody does something wrong. They either suspend them, on leave without pay or on leave with pay. Right now, he's on a paid vacation, wondering what's about to happen. Does Nurse Webble have a lawsuit? I would say there was probably a lawsuit there. Can she go after the Salt Lake City, Utah Police Department? I would say so. I think somebody could probably look this up for me, but there's probably a tort limitation on how much she could actually get. But yeah, she absolutely has a wrongful arrest lawsuit, an aggravated assault wrong lawsuit, or possibly what else? What else? Us not being lawyers or police officers, what if you've seen the videos? And I'm sure everybody has. What did you see in the videos that she could actually go for? I saw wrongful arrest. I saw aggravated assault. She was detained for 20 minutes. Could that be considered kidnapping? Removing her from her place of business or employ, relocating her outside of a building, maybe 50 feet away. Would that be considered kidnapping and being restrained or held against her will? If it's found as a wrongful arrest, it might be considered kidnapping. Definitely assault. Absolutely. Yep. So Excitable saying he's on desk duty. I don't know if is he working in office? That would be, he's on paid leave, so that means he's not allowed inside the office. He can't do, field work, and might not even be allowed to do desk work. Unlawful detainment, yep. Okay, so Gary says it's closer to 2 hours from what I've heard. I can't confirm that. From my understanding, she was detained in car for 20 minutes. And they were, of course, working it all out and yelling back and forth at each other, and people were going crazy. All right, so Exavo says what he understands. The chief said modified duties. Okay, so that's not actually, paid leave. That's actually on the job. I know they took him off the blood draw program, so he's no longer allowed to go to the hospitals and take blood, which is good. Apparently he has anger issues with that. God almighty. All right, so we're over here on 365Trucking.com's YouTube channel. This is the first episode that I'm doing over here called The Grind. I'm basically taking over their channel. Unlawful use of force, absolutely. On a desk job, sure. I'm not going to put him out in the field right now because it's probably his safety is in danger. He's been well seen, especially most likely, very much in the community of Salt Lake City. He's probably not well liked at this particular moment. So, although he is a cop or police detective, his safety is probably in question at this moment. What's up there, QA Library? Leonard French, Lawful Masses with Leonard French channel. He is a real lawyer and he's done a very good review of the case. Excellent. Okay, so I actually will go look that up. So Leonard French, Lawful Masses. All right, and he's a lawyer and did a very good review of the case. I will go look that up and I will revisit this. Yes, he's very recognized, Gary. His face and voice has been everywhere for like the last week. Intermission Buck Rub Ron Duncan. Is he still living outside of Houston? If so, have you heard from him? Yeah, he's fine. He's running flowers right now. Yeah, they still live out there. He's doing good. Speaking of life order for the working man, that's right. 365 Trucking is not sponsored by Life Order, but you can always contact me, JCanell@gmail.com. I get dehydrated. I get dehydrated. All right, so I saw on Facebook a lot of internet lawyers popping up and left and right, basically doing it for views or to get looked at, bringing out the FMCSA, reading it off their phone, verbatim, not understanding that that particular license does not mean we are captives of the state. And a lot of people seem to don't understand that our rights are still intact as human beings. And I made a few comments here and there where I saw somebody, and his video did very well. He got the likes and the views that he was looking for. And he did it just for that. He was playing both sides of the fence. I'm not even going to say his name. I think his 15 minutes of fame there are pretty much done. I'm sure his channel grew, his YouTube or his Facebook channel grew quite well, got a bunch of likes and stuff like that. But, I don't speak about things that I don't know about, and I recommend to those people, if you want to be a hooker for the system, at least be knowledgeable of what you're speaking of. Just because, a book says that implied consent is automatic because you have a CDL does not mean state per state per state, nationwide, that's how it's going to happen. Okay, states have their laws. DOT has a law. DOT is not the by-all, end-all, be-all Bible of a truck driver's life. Okay, the government says you will do this. The state says no, and that's how it's going to be. The government, unless they want to issue martial law upon that state and said all of our laws are intact and you have no rights, the laws of the state stand. Implied consent was washed out of Utah in 2007. They found it to be not legal, and they took that. Okay, so just saying because the FMCSA says it, that's how it's going to be is actually absolutely incorrect. All right. What's up there, 365 Trucking? That would be the owner of this here YouTube channel. Hi, Joseph, from the JCanell fans. Guess whose phone didn't reset from the West Coast time? I'm 2 hours off again. You need a new service provider. Yes, Big Fish asks, is the kettle strings bag suitable for shower bags? Yes, I use a black one at all times. I keep all my shower materials in it. I think I actually have it in here. And I use the other one. I use a brown one for a camera bag. So yeah, it's a shower bag. All right, so QA Library sent the link to the lawyer site. Awesome. I will actually go look at that and see what happens there. So Yukon says, as a paramedic, if police wanted info from me, I had a card with a name and number to an administrator to give them. They had to call for authorization. Right. I mean, the FMCSA is our DOT Bible of trucking. It is not the end-all be-all Bible of us as human beings. The federal government can overrule a state, but they have to do certain things to make that happen. Yukon says he knows me personally. He's therefore not a fan. Well, that's true. I buy things for Yukon. I get him things. I'm a Yukon fan. All right. Any questions about any insights? Give me your insights on what you saw. I mean, I've already seen all the comments pretty much everywhere. Everyone's angry at the detective. Everyone's angry at hearing the body mic cams and stuff like that. And I will go look at that I will go look at that lawyer's YouTube channel and get his insights on it, because I may do something else on my channel as well. Any insights? Have you run into issues in different states where, say, a county sheriff, who normally does defer to a state trooper, have you seen that before, where something's happened, you've been pulled over, and you have conflicting authorities, questioning or telling you what to do? Have you run into that with a state trooper on one side and a sheriff department, a county sheriff department on the other side, telling you something different? Now we know as DOT, under DOT rules, that the state trooper, who is if he's a DOT officer, sort of, you do what he says. Have you ever been in that conflict where you're being told two different things from two different authority figures? And what did you do? Anybody? NXIble says, very poor judgment on the cop's part, 15 minutes, and he could have had his warrant. Absolutely. If he had not pushed the issue, because now he escalated it up to bad things nationwide. And I keep seeing this in a lot of places, and it's always on social media first. It pops up with a video here, pops up with a video there, and it's that old theory of, if it bleeds, it leads, right? It always shows up on Facebook, then a new source it kicks in and pops it, and it makes it go bigger and wider and wider and wider. And I'm not anti-cop at all. I have a lot of police officer friends. I have a lot of police officers who are retired, and I speak to every now and then. I'm not anti-cop. I'm anti-abuse of power, and it doesn't have to be a cop. I'm anti-abuse of power on any level. But it's being seen more and more and more. There's cop watchers, there's cop block, and all they do is watch police officers. As it changed over the years, how much abuse of power is happening? No. We're just seeing it more. Yukon says, sheriffs do not defer to troopers. Troopers defer to sheriffs. State authorities need authorization to operate the county. Yes, I was waiting for that answer. Thank you, Yukon. Because, while we defer to the state trooper, it is the county who's in charge. State trooper runs the highways. Counties run their counties. Thank you, Yukon. I was hoping somebody would say that. Pell Rider's a fan of Yukon. I'm a fan of Pell Rider. So it's a weird triangle that we got going on. So James Bradley says, a fellow driver had that situation. He went with the DOT trained trooper per the company. Yes, we defer to the DOT. If there is a DOT officer there, and as well as a sheriff's department there, we defer to the DOT. And of course, then the DOT can fight for whatever he wants to fight for with the sheriff, and they got to get all their ducks in a row. Let it be known that both what's going down, let them fight it out. Yes, absolutely, Shane, absolutely. Explain your situation. If you got a county sheriff here and you got a state trooper here, they're going to have a conversation first. And if you're standing back there, you were speeding or something of that nature, it's a clear-cut case of speeding, it's not going to be a problem. But if somebody wants to do a search and seizure on you, well, as who does the search and seizure? Well, they both can, if they want to work together. If you're in a company truck, CDL holder, it's a truck. It's a commercial vehicle. It's not a personal vehicle. They can walk around and up in there. That's the way it happens. Shane Akins thought the state troopers were on top of the food chain. In their minds, they are. In our particular world, if they are DOT state troopers, they are the food chain to us. At the county, municipal, state, city level, they're not. The county overrides the authority of a state trooper. Okay, they are there to run the highways and make sure the highways are safe and stuff like that. But the county sheriff is employed by the county. That's their home. This is a trooper who runs 200 miles of road a day, back and forth. And the county is the municipality. So they do have to get permission to screw things up inside somebody's county. Non-CDL issues, non-CDL issues, it's either way, but we're CDL holders, so we don't really ever see it that way. Standard, person with a standard license, you just do what they, if they're conflicting with each other and they can't get something resolved, and your safety's at hand, then you dial 911 if your hands are free or something, or comply with somebody and pray you don't get shot. Littering. I don't know what that is. Okay, Yukon game wardens have more authority than county and state in Tennessee. It's funny but true. Actually, yeah, that is actually true. Game wardens got a lot of authority, especially in large hunting states like Tennessee. They can arrest you. Game wardens can absolutely arrest you. Quit screwing with their chipmunks. Gary, if you have a CDL and you rob a store, it's a CDL. Gary, you're not off, bud. I mean, we have so many laws and restrictions that are put upon us as CDL holders. What's the legal? I mean, states vary by state. It might be 0.07 or 0.08 for a normal person to be considered under the influence of alcohol. I guess for us, like 0.04, and you have to be off duty for a minimum of 8 to 10 hours, something of that nature. So we really just can't go out and get our hoo-ha, brainstem melted down, and then go get in our truck. Our lives as CDL holders are extremely accounted for and documented for. I mean, are you aware that you can't go work? Say you've been on the road for a month. Your logbook's up to date, but legally you have to account for the fact that if you went and made money somewhere while you were on your off-duty time, that you have to account for those hours that you were earning income as line 4. You actually do. Okay, your time has to be accounted for. So, like, I was actually had an interview earlier, like the other day, and it was asking me about that. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can't just jump out of your truck and then jump into another truck and start another logbook. Your time has to run consistently, and it has to be accounted for. So you can't just, jump out of your truck, go into, your buddy's box truck, and go, run 600 miles if you're literally out of hours on your original logbook. You can't go do that. I mean, you can go do it, but you're going to be running out of service because you're getting paid as a contract or as a driver to earn money. And like 5 years later, logbooks are being looked at, and there's records that are being compared to each other. And all of a sudden, there's a pay receipt or a check stub sitting there saying that you were paid on this day for doing something else, but you weren't with the company that you're originally with, but you got a check stub. What were you doing? You need to account for that time, and 5 years later, they can get you for log violations, and they can do that. I mean, the log system is so far behind right now that that's actually happening. People are being found out for falsifying logs 5 years after they left the industry. It happens. James Bradley says game wardens can enter your house without warrants. This is in Tennessee. If probable cause of game limit warrants the search. Seen it happen. Yeah, that's in Tennessee as well. So if you Uber when not trucking, do you have to put that down? Yes. Yeah, you do, because you're being paid. You're working. You're under, time for monetary, sublimation. Actually, I think that's an incorrect word. But yeah, you have to log it. As I was doing this line 4 for this many hours over here, I was on duty, not driving, or as driving. You were commercially driving a vehicle to make money. Not a large, weighted air brake, commercial vehicle, but it was a commercial vehicle as you were on income. DOT is going after any vehicle that has a business name on the side of their car. Well, sure they do. Yeah. James Bradley says, if out of hours and you have permission to park at, say, a Walmart, isn't it against DOT law for local city cops to interrupt you and try to make you leave? Yeah, I mean, that's private property. So the police officers would need Walmart's permission to come onto their property and conduct business. Business being, screwing with a driver who's sleeping. James Bradley, here is no probable cause exception to a legal search and seizure. If they enter a home without a warrant, it is a violation. And but that's something as well, Yukon, because as we heard in those tapes, they said just let it happen, and we'll figure it out later. If we're wrong, we're wrong. We'll just let it slide, and it'll just go away. And I think that's it's the go ahead and do first, and ask for forgiveness later mentality. I mean, I have that sometimes. I do that sometimes. I'll make a video and throw some fuel on a fire, and I'll make that happen sometimes. And then I'll say I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was thinking. 365 says, let's see E-Logs figure that out. Right. And honest to God, I don't know anyone who actually accounts for that. It's a law that's there. It has to be complied. It has to be complied with. But who's complying with it? They just like it to be there because they don't want you, working for a month, going home, grabbing somebody else's truck, and then just running another log. And all that other nonsense. They want you rested. Well, no, they just want to account for your time. If you're making money somewhere else and you're moving, a vehicle, commercial vehicle, to make money somewhere else, that has to be accounted for on your logbook. It counts towards your 70. But who's going to do that? Who in their right mind would ever do that? I'm sure it's done. I'm sure people would do that. But who would? I mean, honestly. I'm not saying break the law, but that's a stupid law. If I borrow somebody's truck to go pick up wood and take it to a job site, somebody's Chevy or something, take it to a job site for a buddy, I'm not going to account for that time. I'm not on the truck. I'm not on the truck that I'm hired for. I'm not accounting for that time. Go away. Nonsense. All right, so Yukon. Let me see here. See what they're saying here. Hold on one second. Okay, so Yukon's actually addressing James Bradley's question about the Walmart situation. There is no probable cause exception to a legal search and seizure. If they enter a home without a warrant, it is a violation. Okay, he's talking about the game warrant thing. Walmart allows drivers to park on their lots. Yes, excited. Well, a lot of Walmarts do. There's some in the Northeast that won't have it, and there's actually some in the Midwest that won't have it either. They put the distance bars up there. It's like, nah, just don't park in our parking lot. They'll let you park in the back. Just don't come in our main parking lot because cars get hit all the time because people aren't watching their space and stuff. Get an E-log set up in your Uber car. Now, Gary, you're not far off on that because you have to, in Uber, you are an independent contractor. Okay? So for you to claim your miles, you have to show your miles. You have to, if you're going to claim depreciation on your vehicle as well as mileage that you're going to file for your taxes as a 1099, you have to be able to show that. So they do actually have apps and stuff of that nature. People used to just write it down, but they actually have apps that Uber drivers and people who do a lot of driving like that, they have to log it. They log it. Now, do they log line 1, 2, 3, 4? Of course not. They log their mileage. They have to have something set up to track those miles so that they can prove at the end of the year to the IRS that it's tracked. So that's how it would be. That's how it would get you as well. I mean, there's a lot of truck drivers who are city drivers or local who will come home, go jump in their Prius or their Camaro. Well, not a Camaro. not very fuel savings there. But they'll jump in their car, personal vehicle, go into the city, whatever city it is, and go do Uber for a few hours, and make a 50 or 60 bucks. But if they're going to claim that mileage, which is a benefit of being an Uber driver, if you're going to claim that mileage, you have to track it. It has to be documented. So you actually are on a log system as well there. Let's see. 365 says personal conveyance is not even an option with my current e-log provider. Right. Yeah. Personal conveyance is it's a gray area for some companies and not so much for others. There's a lot of misconceptions about personal conveyance. It's basically you're not you're not contracted, you're not under load, you're not this or that. Basically, you're free to do what you want, and it should always be an option, especially on e-logs. And I went through that with the first two companies I ever had e-logs with. There was not a line 5 or personal conveyance option to drop down to or to switch over to, and you just had to sit there, either till you got your hours back or you had a 34 in or whatever it was. You just had to sit there. You were wasting precious home time that you could have had I mean, and I understand, you know, you just drove 650, 700 miles that day, but you're an hour away from home, but you can't go because that e-log system does not account for personal conveyance. I mean, you're no longer under a load. You're basically a free man, free woman, whatever it is, but you can't move for another 10 hours because there's no personal conveyance in the e-log system, which is junk. It's wrong. You know, I'm done. I mean, I'm done working. I should be allowed to go home. So why can't I? Why do I have to sit here and waste 10 hours of my precious time, or 34 if I'm completely out of hours? With, you know, personal conveyance should always be in every e-log system. Are you at your house? No, he's in the abyss. No line D, line 5. If so, would that be against the law? It's, well, I mean, you're asking 365, but I'll tell you, no, it should be an option in all e-log systems. Is it against the law? No. James Bradley says, had a driver have the issue at a Walmart in the sleeper with a city cop and their ordinance. He had permission from the store. Company called DOT officer. City lost. Good. Good. If you have permission on private property to sit your vehicle there, let them stroke the ticket. I mean, all you got to do is walk in there. I mean, before you park, before you walk away from your truck or just to go to sleep, it's always a good habit to call the manager of the store and say, hey, do you guys have a problem with me being parked here? I've either delivered here or I just delivered down the road. I'm out of hours. I legally really can't move any further. Would it be okay if I parked out of the way on the side? You know, and if he says yes, I said, can I have your name, sir? Thank you. And if somebody comes knocking, you can either wait them out so that they go away, which police officers hardly ever go away, or roll your window down, say, hey, store manager Bob Morris said, you know, and they probably know him because they're in the town. Bob Morris said I could sleep here. They said it was fine. And if he said no, and it said, don't fight them. Don't get your butt up about it. Let them stroke the ticket, and then, you know, grab a lawyer, and then let them fight it for you, and then get the money from them. You know, let them stroke the ticket. Let it happen. There's no reason to go get your butt in more trouble where you shouldn't be in trouble in the first place. There's no reason to go get in your butt arrested for obstruction or resisting or any of that nonsense. Just because you feel like being a smart mouth about it. You know, a lot of there's so many you know, truck drivers who have gotten arrested just for running their mouth. When if they were smart about it, just let them stroke the ticket. Stroke it. You know, my lawyer can beat your lawyer because you're wrong. You don't even have to say that. I always think it though. You know, my dad taught me that. My lawyer can beat your lawyer because I'm not wrong. So let them stroke it. Kevin Ollie says, my Walmart by my house has signs all over the place that say no truck parking, but I have permission from the store manager and have never had a problem. Absolutely. You can actually, you know, if you know the store manager, you can go get a piece of paper signed by him saying that you have permission, have it laminated, and stick it right inside one of your windows when you leave the truck. Now, of course, that's also a beacon for people to know that you're not in your truck, but you can leave it there or something of that nature, you know, if you're not going to be gone long, just so a tow truck doesn't come in and get you. Just stick it right there with his signature statement of, I have permission from the manager of Walmart. His name is blah, blah, blah. He can be reached at blah, blah, blah. Of course, make it the store number. Don't make it his personal phone number because people are jerks. Apparently, Kevin and Ollie cannot spell right now. Isn't it the law they can't interrupt your sleeper berth? It is the law that they are not supposed to interrupt your sleeper berth. If there is no probable cause, you know, that's part of that gray area that people run into. Like that bull hauler situation video on my channel. Now, his driver, his driving partner, was going well above the speed limit. All right, so pulled him over. There's probable cause right there. Now, he did not need to wake the guy up in the sleeper berth. The guy poked his head out. Okay, now I've been in the sleeper when my co-driver is in trouble. I don't poke my head out. It's not my problem. You know, it's not my circus, not my monkeys. Why get myself involved? You know, if he did something stupid, he needs to pay the price for it. Don't poke your head out of the sleeper. Now, if it's a solo situation where you're parked in a parking lot on private property, they're not supposed to bother you. Does it mean they won't? No, they'll come and knock on your door. If they tell you to move, here's what I've done every time I've been told to move from private property or a parking situation. I said, I need your name and number. Basically, I need your name and need your badge number because you're telling me to break the law. And if that's what I got to do, I need to be covered. I need to have my butt covered because I'm going to send this off to my company and say, and that's on electronic logs. I was like, I put it into the system in the Qualcomm system. Officer blah 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 of the blah 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 police department at this time blah, is telling me I have to leave this place. You need to contact the company that I'm delivering to, let them know that as soon as I find a safe place to park, it will be another 10 hours after appointment time before I get there. So now, I take it off of me, I put it on that cop. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and fight him. It's not going to happen. You know, I don't need that in my life. That's a headache, and you're not going to win. Once you start being aggressive and mouthy and all this other stuff, they win. That's all they ever needed. That's all they ever needed to take it from a ticket or something else to escalating it to you're going to jail. And don't escalate it. Just do it. You don't sit and drive. Oh, there you go. Talk Trucker saying it right there. You don't sit in the driver's seat is off duty. If law knocks on your door, make them go to the passenger side. Yeah. I mean, most cops will come to the passenger side anyway. But if you're up in the jump seat, you are, if you're a CDL holder and you're up in the jump seat, you are supposed to be on line 4. So, the easiest trick of that, of course, is one, have your co-driver not get pulled over. Okay, because now you're falsifying logs. So once you're in the jump seat, you're up there and you're on duty. You're not driving, but you're on duty. Okay, you just can't sit up there. Okay, if you're a trainer, you have to be on duty saying I'm training a student on duty, not driving. If you're stating that you're in the sleeper berth, but you're in the jump seat having a smoke, and you get pulled over, and the guy already saw you, you're falsifying their logs. Understand? Yeah. All right. Had an issue with a night dispatch calling over recovery loads while sleeping. Took it to safety and no more calls. Yeah, absolutely. I've done that many times. Plenty of times. I mean, don't call me. You have a computer screen in front of you. And basically that's harassment. That's where the harassment clause came into place. I said, I'm in sleeper berth. I'm resting. I've done my job for the day. Don't beep the Qualcomm. Don't call my phone. Don't blow it up because you need an answer of something that doesn't matter. And yeah, call the safety department all the time. Absolutely. Get them involved. Get this guy or girl who doesn't get it, that they're breaking the law, which is what they're doing. They're making it an unsafe workplace, an unsafe environment inside that truck. Get safety. Say, hey, get this guy off of me, or get him off the board, or get him away from phones or something. He's being an idiot. And, absolutely, call safety department. Let's see, Beaverwood, what about going into the bathroom? Oh, hold on there. Beaverwood works. What about going to the bathroom? Well, you're going to have to restate your question there because that's a little general. So restate that, what you actually mean there. I'm not really getting that one. Always run a dash cam, record any and all encounters with law enforcement. Dash cams are fantastic. They are the the eye that doesn't blink. Any YouTuber will have 2 to 5 cameras inside their truck at all times. It doesn't take. Mine are magnetically mounted. You can see on the back of this one, this metal plate here. And you'll see on the back of this one, there's a metal plate here. I can hang these. I can just pop them up on to a magnet mount. And at any time, I can just push a button, and it's recording everything that's in front of me in 4K. And that's just, it's a Samsung 8 Plus and a Samsung Note 4. And they record in 1080, and the other one can record in 1080 and 4K. So it's a fantastic, it's got a lot of storage on it, so it's a fantastic dash cam. You should, and if you're involved in an accident, or you're involved in a stop situation, with the plate on the back, put it right there, Put it right there and point it, hit record, have it pointed towards you and where the officer is going to be. If he's going to be over here, point it, don't hold it in your hand because he may be about to drag you. Have it up on the magnetic mount, push the record button. He can see it. You don't even have to say that's happening. He can see it. He can see that your camera's running. If you got two phones like I do and more, multiple magnetic mounts, hit record on both. If you got a GoPro like I do, you can pop the record on that. If it's sitting up there, you just turn it around. It can even be upside down. It'll flip itself, in post production. Cameras are great. It'll protect you too. If you're in the sleeper and you need the toilet, do you need to change line out of the log? You don't have to change any lines of any logs if it takes you less than 7 minutes. 7 minutes or less. You don't have to change. You don't have to drop duty status. If you're in a sleeper and you come out, run to the bathroom, and you're back in 5 minutes, you don't have to change anything. If you're driving and you stop running to the bathroom, it takes you 6.5 minutes, you don't have to change duty status. 7 minutes and under. No duty status change necessary. Let's see. Have you seen Indiana Jack's last video? The Schrader truck that had the rip in its tire. I would take it to the shop, so drive. Yeah, I mean, if you got a tire that's got a rip in it, or it's about to blow, or it's bulging, or it's pregnant, take it to the shop. A lot of people don't. Well, not a lot of. I shouldn't say that. Over the years, it feels like a lot of people don't do that. That's not a true statement. People will run it. Either they're not aware of it, they're not aware that their tire's about to go, or they're or they don't care. They'll just let it blow and keep on rolling. And or they're just one of those that type of mentality that I gotta go. If their whole week's been behind or something, they feel like they're just eating dirt all day long. They won't stop. I said, well, let me go get this load off, and right after I do that, I'll tell them not to send me a pre-plan, blah blah blah, and I'll take it to a shop locally. But they never tell anybody. that sounds great in their head, but they actually never tell anybody that you place the phone call, say, hey, stop whatever pre-plan, or if you're looking for freight or a load right now, stop. I got a tire that's got to be fixed right after I get this load done. They never actually explain that to somebody until after if they're on e-logs, they put in that macro of empty. Like, oh crap, I didn't tell nobody, and then all of a sudden the pre-plan comes over. Now they got to go. Yeah, it's like pre-plan. You always gotta be aware. Communication is the key to trucking, honestly. Let me see, what was that question? That's a fast run if you're on the back row of the I-80 truck. Well, let's be honest, Mark. The QLR is Mark there. Let's be honest, Mark. If you're on the back 80 of the Iowa 80 truck stop, you're really not going that far to take a leak. I mean, these are great. These are great, or I mean, it's rather large space. It's rather dark. Like people pee places. I mean, women drivers hate us because we can go anywhere. Shane Atkins says hashtag trucking exec train with JCanell. He's not going to train with me. Some companies are trying to put cams in trucks to monitor drivers. Excitable. There's actually a few companies that have already implemented that. They've been actually in systems in trucks for quite a few years, and that's mostly for insurance reasons. I mean, Yukon could probably, if he's even still here, could tell you, about a company that he used to drive for. Have that system, and it's basically because they're training people, and large companies that train people who are new will have those inside their trucks to monitor. They're not actively monitoring the driver. Now that's what they're saying. It's kind of like the Qualcomm system. All this data does not sit at the company. It sits in servers off-site. No conspiracy theory here. It's to protect the driver and the company liability. So something like a hard brake or an impact would turn that camera on. I think like 20 seconds prior. It would have recorded. It's active, but it's recording actively 20 seconds prior to the accident. So it's seeing outside, inside. And there's a lot of people that say they won't drive for companies that have that. And I agree. Now I'm a YouTuber. There's a camera around me at all times. But there's also privacy issues, especially with teams, husband and wife teams and stuff like that. And they don't want that. A lot of people just put a piece of black tape over the lens. been doing it for years, and of course they've been fired for it, or they just let them go with it. Shane says you can't handle the power J. John says, Martin Transport since 2005. Well, there you go. There's a company right there that has is that forward and rear facing? John Shepard? I haven't looked into that. The outward cam records 24/7 and inward comes only on during critical events. Right. Yeah. That's been the biggest argument so far about forward and outward facing critical events. Now, that doesn't stop some guy. It doesn't stop some guy at the server farm, activating a camera. And that's probably the biggest concern that people have, is I don't know who's on the other side of this. I don't know who's there, what they're recording, what they're looking at. If I got my finger up my nose, or if I'm changing my underwear, it's in the dark, no one can see me. I didn't feel like closing the curtains or something, or it's hot and AC is not working. I got the windows down, so I'm changing out lower than eye view, that type of stuff. People, I don't know who's on the other side of that camera, is the biggest issue, and I agree with that. It is not our home. If you're a company driver, it's the company's truck. But you know what? I don't have to work for that company, and no one does. They can, if they want to do that, everybody can, just walk away from it, or at night, put a piece of tape up there, whatever. James, say passenger side sun visors work wonders. Well, yeah, whatever can block the camera. I just don't work for, I'm at that point in my career that I don't have to work for that particular style of company. They have been issued in the past. They have been busted in the UK a number of times. Perfect example, Mark QA Libraries over there in England. And so, yeah, so they've already had issues of privacy being invaded. So, and that's what the issue we have over here, is like, we don't want that. We don't need that in our life, because we're such a, now, we're such a social media space that, if I'm sitting there sick inside that truck and I'm throwing up inside of a bag, a Walmart bag, I don't need that popping out on Live Leak or what's that other, all those crappy websites that have all that sensational nonsense. I don't need that stuff popping up there. I don't need that in my life, because what I would do is I would just end up suing somebody, and that could be fun too. It's not like I haven't sued somebody before. Don't need them pedos. Well, very good statement there, Nathaniel. Yeah, you don't, like I said, you don't know who's on the other side of the camera and where that footage will actually end up. Some freak with his hands in his pants, absolutely. Froderick says, attaining CDL, is an accredited school required, or can I study, rent the truck, and pass the test on my own? Well, you can actually go talk to Buck Wild Trucking about that. He never went to a CDL school. He studied. He actually learned via YouTube and studied and went into the DMV there in Texas and tested out. So there you go. I think it's state related too as well. That's a state issue. Someone driving naked. Gary McKissick says, somebody driving naked. I've seen that. I've seen people driving naked before. A little off topic, what do you think about 2007 Cascadia with 700,000 miles or 12,000 just for popping docks? 700,000 miles of 2007, so you're looking at a 10-year-old truck. It's out of warranty, 12 grand. Get all the service records for that truck. And I think I actually said this the other day. Anything used, you want to know its absolute history, because whatever's been replaced the most is going to be replaced again, because the issue's probably never been fixed. But for 12 grand, as long as not, how far are you going to go? You're going to spend 12 grand on it, but you probably need about 25 in the bank just for repairs. Yeah. Yeah, it's something. What's up there, Daniel? What's up? That's how. Okay, so Gary says that's how I did it. I didn't go CDL school, just between YouTube and tips from my dad. Yeah, it depends on the state if you're allowed to just go straight up and test out the DMV. Some states say you have to go to school. Some companies say you have to go to school. Nathaniel, well, I missed your first initial question there, Nathaniel. Hold on one second here. Let me find what your initial was. Example, okay. Well, I'm not going to read that, Nathaniel. I have to say allegedly or something of that nature. All right, let's see here. Yeah, okay. Cool. Actually, 27 people showed up. That's actually awesome. Just got in, man. All right there, Daniel. So we've been on for quite a while. This is episode 1 of The Grind over here on 365 Trucking. You can always go to 365trucking.com. You can always go to their YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed and you just found me popping up on a live stream, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We'll go do episode 2 as well. Eventually. Basically, they just gave me their channel. Shouldn't do that. So James Bradley says, seen a woman take, okay, I'm not going to read that. Seen a woman take a poop on the shoulder of I-40 to back up on Saturday. No wiping. Oh, no. You know, I've seen that before. And it's just not pretty. It just, you don't feel pretty after you witness something of that nature. I'm not going to read that out, on this stream here. It's not my channel. But no. Oh, so Daniel's been subscribed since yesterday, but he's late. Way to be late there, Daniel. All right, so Mark's saying with access stuff, you're not meant to. Normally the server will flag up and email the boss or the company. Right, they should have those in place. So let me reread that. I was just agreeing with you. Normally the server will flag up and email the boss or the company that the account belongs to that it was accessed. That's how you catch people in the past. Yeah, I mean, people should not have unfettered access to live cameras inside of trucks. Ever. Yeah, right. Way to go, Dan. Way to be late on the first live stream over on 365 Trucking. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I always blame you too. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. It was fun, and I appreciate y'all coming by. 365 Trucking YouTube. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on Twitter. You can find them everywhere. They're everywhere. I just took over their channel. It was fun. All right, so appreciate it. We'll do it again. Go tell everybody on my channel that you had a good time, had a good discussion. And, of course, I'll be back on my channel tomorrow. So this is The Grind, episode 1. Y'all have a good evening. I appreciate it. See ya. Now I got to figure out how to turn it off.